Thanks for tuning in to Minds of Tomorrow. I'm your host, Luis Acevedo, and with me today I have Lord Maitreya. He is the host of Super Longevity Institute, which is a podcast and a YouTube channel. He is also a hip-hop futurist. So Lord Maitreya, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So Lord Maitreya, that name, Maitreya, if I'm not mistaken, comes from theosophy. And it means like it's the spiritual entity that's at the top of the hierarchy. It's known as the world teacher of humanity. So is that sort of why you picked the name to be the Maitreya for the hip hop community, or how did that name come about?
I got my name because some people were making fun. Some kids were making fun of me. I worked in a bookstore called East West Books, and I was putting these books away. And I was putting them on the shelf because you had to, when you got new books, you had to take the books out of the box, place the books on the bookshelf, alphabetical order. And so I was picking it up, and I didn't know that Maitreya was on the cover. It was you know what I'm saying? And I was looking at it, I was thumbing through it, and the kid, I had a bald head even back then. And it was like, oh, look at him, he looks like the Buddha. He's look at him. He's Lord Maitreya. It was just like making fun of me though. And it was chanting Lord Maitreya like in the Indian way. It was funny. I didn't know what they was talking about. You know what I'm saying? At the time I was just starting to rap, and I just took on the name when I learned who Lord Maitreya really was. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna tell. Oh, really? That's not really a diss. It's like that's
Right.
not. They calling me a god. I was young. I was like they calling me the Buddha. So I was like, I took it on. I just, and that's a lot of us get our names like that,
Mm-hmm.
or the elders give your name.
Mm-hmm. Right. And so that's really cool though, that, you embraced that negativity. Like you didn't make it negative. You made it positive once you found out that it was actually something empowering, that they were calling you a god. So
Yeah,
that's really cool. Now you did say that you actually make music too. Is that correct?
I do.
Awesome. And you consider yourself, as I said in the introduction, hip hop futurist. So what exactly is a hip hop futurist, and how did you integrate the two in your work?
That's a great question. I've been living the culture, for a long time. And I kind of know where the culture needs to go, and I kind of know where it's going.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I think that it's time for us to start embracing some introducing some new concepts in the culture. I think it's time for that. You know what I'm saying? Some of us are a little bit more older, we're a little bit more mature, a little bit more wiser. We still want to participate in the culture, but we don't want to necessarily do what the young people are doing.
Mm-hmm. Right. So could you describe a little bit about what hip hop culture is, and then how the futurist philosophy can be incorporated in that culture to improve society at large? Because I remember you saying that, and I'm not sure if it was in that documentary when you were, I think it was Immortality or Bust, uh,
Oh yeah.
where where I saw a quote that you said that hip hop can aid scientists in age reversal. So like these therapies. So just a little bit about what hip hop culture is and how this philosophy of futurism can incorporate. If you could explain that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Um, I'm trying to introduce new concepts to the culture. Some of us are a little in our up there in age, but we still participate in the culture. So this conversation is not uh too far out there for us.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing is, by saying these things, I'm hoping and praying that a young hip hopper sees this and gets inspired and says, you know what, I want to be, I could be in hip hop and a scientist. And for my people, the best thing I can do for my people is to find out how we can increase our lifespan
Right.
in the name of hip hop.
Right. Yeah, that's really ambitious. And I like the way that you put it, that somebody, a younger person, could say, you know what, I want to be somebody making hip hop music, writing raps and things like that. but I could also be a scientist because I know growing up, this is a little fun fact about myself here. I actually used to write raps all the time growing up. Like I was in love with hip hop, the culture, and rap. I know they're two separate things, but I'm using them kind of synonymously right now, like interchangeable. But anyway, but the biggest reason that I stopped writing any kind of songs and stuff like that is because growing up, you were told that you got to do something practical. Most people aren't going to make it as an artist of any kind.
True.
And so that then led me to go to college and all these other things. Not saying that college is a bad thing,
Mhm.
but yeah, I like that you're focusing on trying to change that stigma, especially with hip hop, because you see it, especially me growing up. I was like, if I do become successful as a hip hop artist, what other avenues will I have after that? That's the way it's kind of portrayed. But I like that you're trying to at least shift that mindset, help it. I mean, you already see it now being changed with the first one that comes to my mind is somebody like a Jay-Z. I believe he's a billionaire now, but he's not a billionaire from selling records, right? He was able to do something else, but you want to gear that towards more of the scientific fields to help
Yeah.
humanity as a whole.
Yeah. The same creative vision we use to create our elements, we can take that same creativity and apply it to science to figure out how to reverse the aging process or to figure out um any part of regenerative medicine,
Right.
and so yeah, I mean, it's time for us to get a little bit more it's time for us to grow up a little bit. Some of us gonna have to grow up just a little bit, you know and try to take the culture to the next level, because the culture is definitely valuable other than getting paid from it. It
Mm.
definitely has a philosophy and an intellectual agency behind it. We didn't just say, we didn't just take the G off a word. We didn't just drop the G. We dropped the G in the elements like breaking, what I'm saying,
Mhm.
piecing, burning. We took the G off because we viewed the elements, we viewed them as elements on an atomic chart. Like we dropped the G, you know what I'm saying? That's how we viewed it. So you know, uh we could take that same, when they took the reason why hip hop was created is because in the 70s they took the instruments out the schools. Everybody knows the story. They took the instruments out of the school system. So we didn't have instruments and stuff like that. So we had to, all right, we don't have instruments, so we're gonna use that turntable right there. We're gonna make a strange sound that strange to our parents, but it's gonna become universal, and everybody's start doing it in all these urban communities all over the world. So we took a huge sound system and didn't know where to plug it. So we said, you know what? We're gonna plug it in the street light. Our culture is great.
So resourceful. So
Our culture
resourceful.
is hip hop culture is genius. And I'll debate any professor on the planet. Bring me to your. I will debate any of y'all on this. Hip hop is one of the greatest cultures in the world. We're not the only one. We're one of the greatest cultures in the world.
I couldn't
Period.
agree more. I mean, if you look at our culture today, it's heavily influenced by hip hop. And if you go back to what you were saying, the turntables, now some of the most popular music is using a more advanced form of what these turntables are. We got new genres coming out specifically using this technology that was being used back in the 70s, as you said. And even from the 70s, it grew tremendously. Like before, as we were talking, Grandmaster Flash is on your mural back there. He would, cut it up. And you said that he invented something that a certain style,
Crossfader.
crossfade. Okay. And like not only did they introduce this style of music, but then they decided to put words over it. Like that was crazy too when that first happened. The evolution from just playing the turntables and
Yeah.
breakdancing to somebody actually getting on the mic, the MC, and performing along with it. It just totally changed music. You know, it just opened up so many other genres. And if you just look at music today, you see that influence of it. And music is something that is ancient, right? I mean, it goes all the way back to antiquity.
No, you're right. And I just want to say that the next level, I talk about age reversal and stuff like that through the hip hop. Everybody thinks I'm crazy because I'm science without art is just you gotta have art. Science and art, they're twins. And so I to me the next level for hip hop is a hip hop city. Also, that's the next level for our culture. Not a platinum plaque, not all these platinum plaques. You know, in order for us the culture to grow and be preserved for future generations, we're gonna have to be thinking on this type of level, and we shouldn't be afraid to think on this type of level. Okay, because our culture is great.
Right. Yeah, no, I love the thinking here because it's really ambitious, and I'm all about big ambitious ideas because they're what changed the world. And somebody has to stick their neck out and say, you know what, this can happen, and you're the one doing that for hip hop, and I think that's really awesome. And you did mention the hip hop city, and I also read in one of your interviews as well that you want to build the first hip hop temple too. So could you maybe describe what you envision as the hip hop city and what exactly is this hip hop temple?
Well, you know, in order for us to preserve our culture, I think that the safest thing to do is the best thing for us to do at this level is to try to live in a city that's governed by hip hop and is founded by hip hoppers. I think that would be good for. I think somewhere in the United States we should pick a city and create a new city state called the state of hip hop. Whatever we agree upon, whatever name we agree upon that it should be. Um, I think that's a hip hop temple. Really, when I say a hip hop temple, I don't mean that physically.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Um, I mean that mentally. You know,
Okay.
I mean that mentally, not just a physical space, but a mental space. And because in order to do these things that I'm talking about, we're definitely going to have to be united in some type of mentality in order to, you know, accomplish these goals. Because most of our goals are dictated by an industrial status symbol, and that's always bad for cultures. That's good for music, for the music industry, but hip hop is a culture, so we have to approach things differently.
So how do you envision this hip hop city being governed? Like, what would it be? Like, what do you mean when you say it should be governed by hip hop?
I just mean culturally. We have a habit of doing stuff that it can help identify us. Like our graffiti on the trains, we like graffiti trains. We'll have legal trains. We'll have graffiti on bullet trains, on everything. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm just saying we'll integrate the culture in the fabric of the city. Um, I kind of think of hip hop like what Jack Fresco was talking about when he was talking about the Venus Project. I loved a lot of some of his ideas. We standing on whatever I say, I learned from a lot of the elders. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
The stuff that I heard, I picked up, and now I'm just giving it to you. But you know, yeah, just like Jack Fresco said about the Venus Project. I really feel like the hip hop city shouldn't be. We should experiment with a different social order that doesn't use money, doesn't need money to survive, doesn't need money as an exchange to survive. You know, um, it's time to start. We got to stop saying that. Oh, we can't do something because we never did it before. If you got to try it,
Right.
put your minds together and try it. You know what I'm
And you
saying?
think hip
Because
hop would be the best way to do that, as in uh, bring about a society where it's founded on trust as opposed to monetary value, like a monetary exchange.
Yeah, I feel like we have enough resources and enough technology to fill in the gaps, science and technology to fill those gaps that the monetary system uh, leaves unfilled. You know what I'm saying? So I think hip hop is the best to do that. At one of the reasons is because we all know what type of urban environments this culture comes from. We know its history. Hip hop was created because of rejection by the mainstream and by COINTELPRO. This is our defense against COINTELPRO. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
You know, they gave it that, the system came up with COINTELPRO, we came up with hip hop.
And could you describe what is COINTELPRO?
COINTELPRO means counterintelligence program, which was started by a guy in the FBI named J. Edgar Hoover, who was the head of the FBI, who wanted to get rid of any type of radical political groups he felt that was a threat to whatever he was about.
Right. Okay. That's interesting. Now,
So, we knew something was up in our people knew something was up in the 60s and 70s. I mean, the early 60s and 50s, we couldn't really put our hand on it, but we knew that the government was doing stuff shady like this with this counterintelligence program. But when they broke into the office and got the records, and through the Information Act, we were able to get concealed documents that proves what we were already saying.
Gotcha. Now, from what I understand from J. Edgar Hoover's time as the director of the FBI, is he was focused mainly on, at least they say through the mainstream narrative, communist. So, what other political parties are you referring to, or was it just were African American communities being linked with the communist movement in some way, or is it something different that you're referring to?
Yeah, that too.
Okay.
Trying to link the Black Power movement to communism. The Black Panthers. You've seen what they did to Fred Hampton. Jeffrey Hatch was on my show. He was a lawyer for Fred Hampton's family and fought the government in Chicago, and they proved that the government put a hit on Fred Hampton. That's why Black people are traumatized. Listen, hear me clearly. Hear me clearly. America, but thank goodness hip hop came. Because if hip hop didn't come, you would have had something. You would have had a force to be reckoned with. I'm telling you right now. Because we already seen what happened to all the leaders. They got killed and assassinated. We already seen that. You know what I'm saying? It's to the point where I was rapping about curing agent and stuff like that. And people thought it was strange. I did it anyway. I don't really care about what people think. So one of the young ladies, she was younger than me, and I couldn't believe she had this much fear at her age. She was like, "Oh, you better not do nothing like that. Somebody's gonna such and such and such. The government gonna come." I said, "Yo, I'm only talking about curing agent." I said, "Yo, this." I said, "I couldn't believe she had so much fear. She was so much younger than me." But then I thought about it. I said, Black people were traumatized. You know what I'm saying? So,
right. And you think that hip hop is a way to sort of fix as a remedy to that trauma and a creative avenue in which people can utilize to bring about good social change as opposed to destruction.
Yeah, if it's but right now it's being weaponized.
Right.
It's actually being used against us, and this is why this conversation has to be heard, because it's a public emergency out here. What's going on as far as Black men is concerned.
So could you go into a little bit about how it's being weaponized?
Well, we're allowing the worst of us, the desperate of us, to be in the forefront and made to look like they're in the forefront of the culture. And they're just to get the money. They tell you that. They're telling the people we rap for money, Yeah, this is all we're here for. We're not here to advance the culture. We're here to just advance ourselves, which is really messed up because there was people who died blood, sweat, and tears to get to the culture to get to where it is today. And where you are, all you want to come through is be a leech. Come on, man. You don't got nothing else to offer? That's sad, man. That's sad. You don't have nothing else. You don't have nothing to offer the culture. You're not bringing nothing to the table. You just trying to take food off the table. You like, just gonna eat, yo. Just gonna take from the car. Just gonna eat off the table. I don't care. I wasn't invited to the table. I'm just gonna start fucking at the table. So my thing is this: people say, how can you connect with self-government and life extension? Of course, I can. The pursuit for immortality is the engines of all civilization.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I get what you're saying because all civilizations are built upon some sort of spiritual teaching that this is, that there's some source of immortality, that you don't die. And from what I gather, the transhumanist movement, which I believe is what you're alluding to, is attempting to bring that about on a material level as opposed to this distant spiritual level that can't be proven. And so so are you so do you think that hip hop could as well like play a role in this movement for transhumanism as well?
I think hip hop is the spearhead of that movement.
Okay.
I'm just the first. I'm just the first. You just see me first. That's all. You just seeing me first. But there's gonna be more of us who thinking just like this. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Like I said, immortality is the engine of civilization. You got the first emperor of China. He was trying to become immortal physically.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the feats of mummification. You can see this in every culture. I can even you can even find this in American culture. Go read about what's the guy's name that flew the kite? Benjamin Franklin. He said he wanted to be preserved in a bottle of wine so he can be brought forth back to life. So he can be brought back in the future to see his country. But the science is in its infancy. Listen to what I'm saying. You could go to Russia and find this immortality idea even in their culture with Nikolai Fedorov. Come on, man. I studied this a long time. Long time.
So how do you think hip hop is the spearhead of that movement? Like, what do you mean by that?
Because it's the hip hop is everywhere. Hip hop is even if go look at the stats of what music is being played the most all around the world. Go look at that. Do you know how powerful? You'd be silly not to want to get hip hop involved. Once you have it starts with one hip hop. Once you have one hip hopper saying, "Yeah, I can see this. This will help my culture. I'm learning from this. We can have a bridge. Yeah, this will us united. This will be. It seems like they're both opposite, but if you put these two together, this might be a powerful thing with our influence, and our creativity. We could bring that together. The people need to know about what the scientists are trying to do. They don't even hear about it.
Right.
So they don't get to the urban community. We're not checking for this.
Right.
If you put it in a rap, they might check for it.
This is true. I agree completely. So, are you seeing any other hip hop futurist emerge, or are you still like just a pioneer, a single pioneer?
You got people like will.i.am.
Okay.
will.i.am is a futurist. He went to the Singularity University. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. No.
Yo,
Wow.
Will.i.am is ill.
Wow. I did not know. That's awesome.
Yeah, he went to the Singularity University. I said, oh snap! I tried to get in contact with him. I said, yo, Will.i.am went to the Singularity University. And I wonder, it made sense. I said, wow. And then I seen an interview with him and Bill Gates. He got this nonprofit organization called STEM, I think it's called.
Hmm.
It's in LA, where they help the kids learn all about AI and cybersecurity and all these tech, all this technology fields. So yeah, man, Will.i.am. Who else? I can't think of nobody else.
That's what's up. I had no clue that Will.i.am went to the Singularity University. I've never heard of anybody claiming to be a hip hop futurist or any rapper being associated with the futurist movement or transhumanism. So that's interesting that somebody that is at the zenith of hip hop, of the industry, is actually about this ideology. That's very interesting. So are you thinking that there will be more in the future? Like this will be something that is big, like for the hip hop community. Like this will be um, what drives it moving forward. This movement of futurism, transhumanist.
Yeah, they better wake up. Science and technology is the engine. You better you better come this way. You
Right.
think you doing me a favor? You better come this way. If you want to exist in the future and have the culture thrive and become more advanced, we better start thinking about what where science is going, where technology is going, you know, what we can do with the culture to help, you know. We better start thinking like that. I mean, instead of the stuff that's going on now. That's
Right.
mainstream.
So what do you see the role as of hip hop in the future? Like, what
Well,
kind of role is it going to be playing?
do you really want me to be honest?
I do.
I what I think, if you go on my site, I think that hip hop should aid an architect named Stephen Valentine to help build the time ship. Do you know what the time ship is, right?
I've seen it on I believe, isn't it on the Immortalist magazine?
It's
Wasn't that
coming
talked
out.
about
The
there?
article ain't dropped yet, but it's coming.
Okay.
That's
All
my
right.
interview with Stephen Valentine. It'll be out on the Immortalist magazine. Um, there should be physical copies of that too. By the way, we're gonna get busy. That's, and as well as digital. But the time ship is going to be the largest structure dedicated to life extension, and the architect is Mr. Stephen Valentine. Shout out to Mr. Valentine, by the way.
Right. He's a pretty big deal. I believe, didn't he help, or he's working on a development for a city. It's like the Sunflower City or something. Is that his work as well?
Yeah, he in China somewhere, I think.
I'm
Isn't
not.
it?
I don't remember the location, but yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, the city is mimicking how a sunflower works.
Oh, you mean the time ship? Well,
Is that the time ship?
the time ship too. The
Okay,
symbolism is like the sunflower. Also, yeah, definitely.
gotcha.
Definitely.
Okay,
There's
so
a
I
lot
didn't
of
know they were the
symbolism.
same thing. Okay,
Yeah, there's a lot of symbolism that went into the time ship. Like if you look from above, it looks like a drop. It's supposed to mimic a drop of water, also.
oh wow,
And there's only going to be one entrance. It's going to be underground. You can only get in through one entrance underground.
wow. And where's this being built?
That is, we're not sure yet. Well, it's supposed to be
Okay,
Comfort, Texas.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. That's really cool. And are you a editor for the Immortalist magazine, or you help with them?
Yeah, I write for them. I do interviews with them. Um, but I'm gonna start doing like articles about you know, about other stuff instead of just interviews. I just been interviewing people.
Right.
They've just been written interviews, but I'm gonna start doing other stuff, writing about other stuff other than that.
That's what's up. So
Yeah.
did you so how'd you start your podcast, the Super Longevity Institute?
I was bored because we was in the pandemic and people
Okay.
like my boy Grams, shout out to Grams. Some of my younger friends was like, yo, Maitreya, you should just do a podcast. I said, yeah, all right. I listen. When the youngster told me to do something, I listen. I don't it worked out. When the younger people like, yo, Maitreya, so more than one person told me to do it, I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it. So,
And how did it come about to be, revolving around longevity research and these ideas that we've been talking about?
I wanted to do it. That's what I'm about. So I'm just giving you about what this is the stuff I've been reading about. I've been reading a lot of books and stuff and meeting a lot of people. So, you know, I just started a podcast about what my interests were.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. So we were talking a little bit earlier, as I mentioned. I was using the two interchangeably, the hip hop and rap. But as I noted, there is a difference between the two. So could you maybe elaborate on what that difference is, and
Sure.
how, when you say hip hop, you're not talking about what some people think of as rap. It's completely different, because rap would more so just be, in my opinion, musical, whereas hip hop, as you said, is cultural.
Yeah, that's true. Also, we don't say rap, we say MCing, and we drop the G again. MCing. And so, rap is something that the industry created. It's something that the labels create. MCing is something that the culture creates. So it's coming from the culture, a cultural perspective. Um, and success for us is different. And yeah, so hip hop will be the culture. MCing is the element. Rap is a name that was given to the to what MCing, what we do when we're MCing. So yeah,
Gotcha.
it's important that we get these terms correct because we have to be unified in our terms. If not, we'll somebody from the outside who don't care about our culture could come and you know mess us all up because we're all over the place.
So where can people find your music if they were interested in checking out some of your work?
Well, I'm trying to get my music thing popping again. My producer died. Rest in peace, The Rock Isaac. That slowed everything up, and I'm very particular about my music. And if I let you hear my music, you will know why. Because it's very hard to replace somebody. First of all, it's hard to replace a good friend. Let's start right there. On top of that, he was a genius when it came to music. Great loss.
Hmm.
Yeah. So right now, of course I've been writing, and of course I got some ideas, and of course I got somebody I'm trying to work with. That I'm gonna start working with, and we'll see.
Gotcha. Okay. Well,
But
awesome.
nothing
Well,
is on the internet.
okay.
Oh no, no,
Awesome.
there's two songs on the internet. If you go to my YouTube page, there's two songs on there.
Okay.
Two or three
Cool. I'll
songs
be
on
sure
there.
to check that out. I was trying to find some of your music, but I wasn't able to. I saw that at one time you had a SoundCloud, but yeah, so that's why I was asking too, for my, just for myself, because I was interested in hearing some of your stuff. But I'll be sure to check out your YouTube channel some more. That way I can find those songs. Anybody else, they could do that as well. Now, where can people find you and stay up to date on the work that you're doing?
They could just check out the podcast Super Longevity Institute on YouTube. If you just put Super Longevity Institute in the search engine, and you see some real colorful lettering and a graffiti backdrop with Flash, Bam, and Cool Herc, that's me.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'll be sure to put a link in the description when the video goes up. That way people can easily find your work. And Lord Maitreya, I thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.